Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Terror Train. And this movie came out in 1980 and is directed by, and I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce this, Roger Spotswood. I don't know. I look at names and I think to myself, let's try this. I'm sure I can get this, but I can't. But anyways, I heard that this movie was supposed to be underrated and interesting. It's basically just a slasher movie taking place on a train with Jamie Lee Curtis. And I thought this movie was fine. I wasn't in love with anything. I didn't hate anything. It was mostly just a 90-minute bland slasher film that didn't really offer me anything that other slasher movies offered already. Like the characters, they did talk like real people at the very least. I can say that much about it. And there were some good performances that I enjoyed. And the reveal of the first dead body I thought was very effective. And the death scenes overall were well done. I do have some minor complaints about some of them in terms of how they were presented and what they could have offered. But that aside, ignoring that minor issue, I can say overall the deaths weren't terrible in terms of what they were showing, like the practical effects and me believing that they're dead bodies. That was well done. And the first 30 minutes, I thought the pacing was pretty quick. And I was like, oh, wow, we're 30 minutes into the movie already? That felt like a breeze to me. And I liked the scenes with the magician. Those were fun. And I like magic, even though you can pretty much figure it out how it's pulled off. But it's still fun to watch at the very least. And this movie did kind of subvert my expectations with how they treated the first dead body. I feel like that's almost a spoiler, but I'm keeping it spoiler free as possible. And I don't think that saying there's a dead body in this movie is a spoiler because it's a slasher movie. You're expecting people to get slashed. At the very least, I don't think that's spoiling too much. I'm not saying which character this happens to, but anyways, I did like how they handled it. It was a bit different. Like they're just trying to cover it up and try and figure this out. And they didn't treat it like someone got murdered. It was more or less, oh, this is an accident that happened and we're just trying to cover it up. Like that was a bit different and I wasn't expecting that. And there were a couple of creepy moments at the very least that I didn't feel were handled poorly. And if you've seen the film, you might be wondering to yourself, okay, those are mostly just things in the first half. What about the second half? And honestly, I enjoyed the first half better than the second half because the second half I got literally nothing out of and I was bored to tears by that point. But the first half worked pretty well overall, with the exception of some goofy moments like the slow motion in the beginning. I thought that was goofy, especially with the slowed audio. I was like, oh my God, what are we doing here? But that was just one thing. I was like, okay, I can live with that. That's not like the worst thing ever. Well, I did praise the movie for having the characters not talk like stupid, dumb teenagers or just like the writer arguing with himself. I know I didn't say those exact words, but that's my impression of how these characters were talking in this movie. But overall, I didn't feel as though the dialogue scenes were great because it didn't really make the characters interesting, nor were they having any interesting conversations. It was just like dumb teenagers on a train. Well, I guess they're not teenagers, they're college graduates or whatever. But anyways, what they're talking about was never interesting to me, and it was just like relationships and just boring stuff that I didn't care about. The characters were kind of flat for me. I didn't like the music in this movie. It was just very distracting, and honestly, it took away a lot of tension from the scenes that it was in. There were a couple moments where it was fine, but most of it I didn't like at all. And my impression while watching this movie is that it's a slasher film set on a train trying to write off the success of Halloween. And that's fine and all if you have an idea to make it unique or somewhat different, but it just honestly felt like it was offering nothing new or interesting. And Sure, there were slasher movies around this time that were either better or worse than Halloween that worked pretty well. Depends on who you ask, but at the very least, I feel as though those movies were offering something. Like Friday the 13th. Well, I'm not a fan of that movie. I'm probably going to remember that movie more simply because I just remember aspects about it, and you know, even though it's not a great movie, like there are scenes I can remember from the Friday the 13th movies, whereas this movie, it's mostly just forgettable and kind of inoffensive. And it was also very repetitive. This movie, it was just the same few scenes happening over and over again, and it got incredibly dull for me. And there were some plot holes in this movie that really stood out to me, and I could forgive them if the movie was better overall, but I just felt as though this could be better. In the last 10 minutes of the movie, there were plenty of choppy editing choices. I was like, what are we doing here? Honestly, what are you doing? Just stop with so many cuts. I hate choppy editing. And it was also robbing the film of subtlety as well, with how things were edited together. It was just dumb. I hate it. And that's about all I have to say about Terror Train. It was pretty boring. Had a couple of things that I liked about it. And most of that has to do with the first half, and the second half just offered me nothing, and I was kind of falling asleep and not really able to take the movie seriously as I probably should. I wasn't scared by anything in the second half, and I have nothing else to say about it. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Terror Train a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Terror Train, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Inside Llewyn Davis. So I'll look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.